Malcolm MacDonald.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, for calling me to give my maiden speech in this debate, and it's a pleasure to follow the honourable members for Halifax and Torbay, who gave a very moving speech, and of course my honourable friend, the member for Inverness. Mr Speaker, there have been many things said about the great city of Glasgow in this House over the years that have gone by, but I wish to submit the words of Sir Compton Mackenzie, the first nationalist rector of the University of Glasgow, who defeated the fascist candidate Oswald Mosley in that election. And he noted that when gazing over Glasgow from the Campsie Fells, that it offered something that neither Rome nor Athens could. That is the glory and grandeur of the future and the beating heart of a nation. Mr Speaker, my constituency in the south side of Glasgow has a long tradition of playing a major part in writing the story of Glasgow. It is home to the Battle of Langside. It's home to the National Football Stadium, Hampden Park, the last village in the city, Carmunnock, and vibrant communities such as Cathcart, Pollokshaws, Shawlands, Carnwadrick, to name just a few. And members, I hope, will indulge me for just one moment as I note on the record that I am the first member of this House to be elected from what is probably the most famous part of my constituency, Castlemilk. Mr Speaker, Castlemilk has featured in the maiden speeches of three of my predecessors in this House. It's often referenced when talking about urban deprivation and social and housing problems, but I wish to change that in my remarks today. Instead, I wish to draw the attention of members to the anthem of Castlemilk, the famous Geely Peace song. Mr Speaker, the Geely Peace song is much more than a piece of fun. It has at its heart a fundamental message that everyone deserves a decent start in life, a fair crack of the whip, no matter the circumstances of their birth. And it is that message that has inspired people such as Maureen Cope and Bessie Anderson, two pillars of the community, to keep on fighting for a better future for their place and to write further into the story of Glasgow. And it's these fundamental values that inspire my politics: justice, fairness, equality for all. I would at this point, Mr Speaker, like to pay tribute to my predecessor Tom Harris, who I can honestly say I have had the pleasure of knowing for many years. He's a generous-spirited man with a great sense of humour, and I wish him, his wife Carolyn and two children, and indeed his staff, all the very best for the future. I should also, Mr Speaker, as I've been advised to bring something for everyone, note that one of my other predecessors, Sir Teddy Taylor, the last Tory MP in Glasgow, is still mentioned with much love in my constituency, not least of all because he attended to his duties with great diligence as a constituency member. But, Mr Speaker, the most famous son of my constituency is, of course, the great John Maclean of Pollokshaws. John Maclean never made it to this House, Mr Speaker, but there can be no question over the impact that he's had on our national politics. He's probably the best MP that Glasgow never had. He was an internationalist to his fingertips, but absolutely committed to Scottish Home Rule. And this was not a dilemma for Mr Maclean, and it shouldn't be a dilemma for this House. I am a European citizen. Scotland is an outward-looking European nation. Our history, our literature, our songs and stories pulsate with internationalism and solidarity, whether they be the poems and songs and stories of Hamish Henderson, such as Freedom Kamoye, Liz Lochhead or Alistair Gray. And I and my 55 colleagues have been sent to this House to argue for Scotland's place in Europe and for the rights of young people and European nationals to have a say on our future in Europe. However, so rose-tinted are the spectacles of some of the members opposite that they cannot see the problem they are walking into. And that is, Mr Speaker, that in trying to kill one union, they might end up killing two. Mr Speaker, if Scotland is to be dragged out of the European Union against its wishes and on the back of votes from voters in England, then that may be the result that they do not see coming. If only they had a little of John Maclean's foresight, rather than some of the navel-gazing I fear we have seen this afternoon. Mr Speaker, in his speech to the High Court in Edinburgh, John McLean, when he was charged with unconstitutional behaviour, refused to accept that he stood there as the accused and instead said he was the accuser. And so too do I and my party stand here as the accuser of a government that wants to make our country small, look inward and divide our citizens. We will oppose this in the most vociferous way. Mr Speaker, the Glasgow story will continue to be written. It must continue to be told. I hope to add something meaningful to that story by emulating the diligent approach of Teddy Taylor, but with a political philosophy, Mr Speaker, much closer to that of John McLean. Yeah.